Okay, good evening, guys. Can you all let me know if you all can hear me and see a screen? Yes, can see a screen? Yes, right. Okay, so today, guys, we'll start with, I think we need to start with the 2017 A-level paper, okay, for unit number 4. And we'll finish off unit number 4. I actually wanted to have an extra class on the weekend, but got a little busy, but that's okay. So we'll do unit number 4 today, right? We will finish off unit number 4 today, and then probably next week we'll start off with unit number 5, right? So unit number 5, national income accounting, is a unit that most of you all kind of struggle with. I have already sent the unit 5 past papers on the group, so please make sure that you all do the MCQs and come. And for unit number 5, I think we can finish it in like 3 classes. So maybe in like 6 hours, we should be able to finish it. So sometimes what I might do is I might increase the time of the class for 3 hours. Then in 2 sessions, we can finish off unit number 5. So I'll, based on my plan, I'll let you all know what we can do there. So that's the plan for now. Today we will finish off unit number 4. Did you all do the question? Yes? No? Hmm? Did you all try 2017 onwards? There is 17, 18, 19, 20. Others? No? Okay, so looks like a very few have done. That is up to you, right? The class is given completely free. It's up to you to make use of it, right? Attend the class. I don't think I have uploaded last week's recording, right? I was a little busy also. I'm a little busy this week as well. So for those who don't attend, I don't know if they can cover it up very, very soon, because I might get late to upload the recordings. Okay, so we'll start with this question. Question number 3. Okay, 2017 A levels, question number 3, and we'll look at some questions have already been repeated over and over again, guys. So in that event, I'm not going to explain it, because we have explained it before or talked about it before. So we'll start with question number 3, subsection 1. How does the law of diminishing returns, okay, relate to the shape of the firm's short run cost curves? Remember that we did this. Remember, we talk about in the law of diminishing marginal returns, the mirror image story. Yeah, we talk about, right, initially when the marginal product, you have average product, then you have right, the marginal cost and the average variable cost, right? Remember, we talk about this, right? So according to the law of diminishing marginal returns, right, this is what happens, right? Initially, when the marginal product is increasing, marginal cost is falling, right? When marginal product is falling, marginal cost is increasing, right? When this cuts at the topmost point, this is cutting at the bottommost point. Yeah. And then we also said, remember this one, as long as marginal product is below marginal product is less than the average variable cost is falling. When marginal product is above average variable cost is increasing. So you all can write about that, which we have already discussed, guys. This is the same exact question repeated in a previous papers. And can someone give me the year where this was repeated? So someone who has just shown up can go back and watch the recording someday. This question, the same question was there in a previous paper as well. Which paper is that? Where did we have the same question? Check. 2000. Why aren't the essay questions recording uploaded? Because I didn't find time. Yes, it's a free class. It's up to you all to come and make use of it, right? So don't expect me to give it for free and also upload the recording. That 2012 or 2013? 2012. Some are saying 2013. 2012, third question, part 2. Right. So I think both of these papers had similar questions, right? So y'all can go and check on these papers, guys. 2011 also has one. Okay. Okay. 2011 question 3 subsection 2. Okay. So these are questions that are very similar to this, which we would have discussed in detail last class, right? So given that we have discussed this last class, I'm not going to repeat it again. Okay. Moving to the next. Okay. So second one says, what happens to the difference between the average total cost and the average variable cost as the firm's output expands in the short run? This is an easy question. Okay, so can you all first tell me what is the difference between these two curves? The difference between the average total cost and the average variable cost is what? Now this is the average total cost. ATC. This one in red is the average variable cost, right? AVC. What's the difference between this? The difference between these two curves? The difference between these two curves is the average fixed cost. Remember, average total cost is equal to average variable plus average fixed cost. No, so the difference between this is the average fixed cost. Now, how does the average fixed cost curve go? I'll just draw it in a light line here, right? So it goes like this. No, it's a rectangular hyperbola that closes and goes close and close to zero, but it never touches zero. We discussed why it doesn't touch zero as well. So what happens to the difference, guys, between these two curves? What do you all need to write? What happens to the difference between the average total cost and the average variable cost? As more and more output is produced, the difference between the two curves, decreases, or you can say becomes smaller, but will it ever touch each other? Will the ATC and AVC ever touch each other? No. Why no? So touching each other means because that means it's equal to each other. Why can't ATC and AVC be equal to each other? They can't be equal to each other because there is always a fixed cost. So given that there is always a fixed cost, right? This AFC, right, average fixed cost, this is never going to touch zero. So given that this is not going to touch zero, these two curves will never meet. They will get closer and closer and closer and closer, but they won't meet. But then how do you write this for 4 marks, guys? Now, the simple answer here is what happens to the differences. The difference between the two curves decreases as output increases. How are you going to explain? Now, that is what you all need to learn in a past paper class, guys, because I know you all know the difference is this. So you can start off your answer by saying, what is the difference, right? You can write a small line or two, first of all, saying the difference between the average total cost and the average variable cost is the average fixed cost. You can write a small equation. You can say ATC equals AVC plus AFC. That's your starting paragraph. Then later you say, as output increases, the average fixed cost decreases. As output increases, average fixed cost decreases. In other words, now you said no, right? In other words, the difference between the ATC curve and the AVC, between average total cost and average variable cost, also starts to decrease. You can support your answer with a small diagram as well. And then finally, also you can write a point. You can say, given that average fixed cost will never become zero, right? The average total cost and the average variable cost will also not equal to each other. So you can give in some points like that, guys. So you all need to know how to structure your answer for 4 marks. So make sure it's not just understanding the question. Now, I know most of you all understand the question. I know you all know the difference between ATC and AVC is the average fixed cost, and it decreases more and more as you produce. But how are you going to write that for 4 marks is the whole thing, because your examiner doesn't know. Yeah, you can talk a little bit about short run also. So you can say in the short run, as long as there is a average fixed cost, right? These two will not touch each other. So once again, just to repeat quickly, You start off your answer by saying, what is the difference? You can say the difference between these two is the average fixed cost. Write the small equation also. Next thing that you can write is, then you can say as output increases, average fixed cost will fall. In other words, the difference between the average total cost and the average variable cost will start to decrease. And then the final point you can say that it never touches each other. Or in other words, it never becomes equal because there is always a fixed cost in the short run. You draw a diagram also and supplement your answer. That's perfectly fine. Only if you write, you will realize, right? Because sometimes, guys, when you read the question, you know. But when you start writing, you realize for 4 marks, what do I write? So that is why you need to write and come, guys. You can't just come and look at my face and, do that. Is that okay? Fine. Second one. We'll move to the next. Third one. Okay, these are easier. Okay. How would each of the following affect average total cost and affect average variable cost? Okay. A reduction in the price of electricity. Guys, first of all, electricity, is it fixed cost or a variable cost? Tell me that. Does it differ with the number of units that you produce? Or is it, even if you produce 10 units, 100 units, 1000 units, is it fixed? It's variable, right? If you take a factory, okay, if a factory is closed down, right, electricity cost might be nothing. It's semi-variable actually, but we'll not go there, okay? Electricity cost is nothing. But let's say you're producing 1000 units, so many machines are running, right? So much of thing is happening. Obviously, your cost is going to increase. Yeah. So given that, what can you say, guys? If there is a reduction in the price of electricity, what's going to happen to average total cost? Average total cost will decrease. What's going to happen to average variable cost? If there is a reduction, that is also going to decrease, right? Because that is because electricity is a variable cost. Okay, let's look at the next one. Next one is saying a reduction in the wage rate. What do you all think? A reduction in the wages. Wages are also a variable cost. So given that the wage rate falls, average total cost will decrease. Average variable cost will also decrease. 1 and 2 are both the same, right? Answer number 1 and 2, both are variable cost. Given that it falls, it falls. Then answer number C, right? Question number C, look at this. An increase in the salary of the CEO. Yes, what is this? Is it a fixed or a variable cost? CEO salary? CEO salary is fixed. It doesn't depend on the number of output the firm produces. So given that the salary of the CEO increases, what can you tell about the average total cost? Average total cost, total cost. Salary is increasing, not decreasing. What can you say? Average total cost. Now remember, total cost is fixed and variable both. So fixed is increasing means average total cost rises. What can you tell about average variable cost? Does average variable cost also increase just because the CEO's salary is increasing? No, right? There is going to be no change. You can say it is unaffected. You can say no change. You can say remains constant, right? Anything is fine. So I'll just say no change for now. Okay, no change, unaffected, remains constant. Anything is okay. Okay, why is that? Because CEO's salary is a fixed cost. So just because the fixed cost is increasing, you can't say average variable cost is going up, right? That doesn't make sense there. Then let's go to the next point. The next point is the fourth one. What can you say about this? Increase in the cost of rent of the firm's building. Rent. Guys, again, rent is what? Fixed or a variable cost? Rent. Rent is a fixed cost. So if the rent increases, what happens to your average total cost? Now rent is gone up. Right now you have to pay 100,000 rent. Average total cost increases, rises, or you can say increases. what happens to your average variable cost? Just because rent increases, your average variable cost can't change, guys. So you can say there is a no change. So these kind of questions are very easy, guys. Do you all realize that these are like free 4 marks that you can get? You don't have to write paragraphs also. You just have to say whether this is increasing or decreasing. They have not even asked for explanations or not even asked for anything else, right? So these are like just 3 marks that you will get in your paper. Now see, so far in this paper, this question was repeated. First one, 4 marks. If you have done the past papers, you can easily get the 4 marks for this. This question might have not been repeated, but it's a very easy one, right? You all know the difference between these two. The only thing is you need to know how to explain. This one, this is almost nothing. This is like 3 marks just to write. We'll look at the next one. Okay. State 2 differences between a perfectly competitive market structure and an oligopolistic market structure. Do you realize why I would have done this question in the 2017 paper when I did A-level? And you see, these are very easy questions. Remember last class when I started, I told you all the examiner has one few set of questions that he plucks and puts every time for unit number 4. Right? He has around 15 questions in his bag. What he does is from that 15, he takes 5 and he puts 5 into your paper. So most likely what happens is if you have done around 50 questions, that is 10 years of past papers and gone, you will realize the same thing is coming over and over again, right? So can you give 2 differences between this? I don't think that's a problem. And they're only asking for 2 also. So you can talk about the number of firms. You can say in a perfectly competitive market structure, there are a large number of firms. And while in an oligopolistic market structure, there might be what? There is only a few dominant firms. Then you can say a perfectly competitive market is a price taker, while a firm in an oligopoly is a price maker. Okay. You can talk about barriers to entry and exit. You can talk about how these people have a homogeneous product. These people can have homogeneous or differentiated products. Okay. So I don't think that's a problem at all for you all to write 2 differences between this. Is everyone okay? Because if I'm telling you all, if anyone is finding a question like this difficult, you all need to start studying, right? Because these are the basics that is there in your tutor. So if this is also difficult for you, means you have not studied the unit. I'm not trying to put you down or anything. I'm trying to tell you this is a wake-up call for you if you're finding a question like this also difficult. Let's go to the next. Distinguish between normal profits and abnormal profits. How do we distinguish this? Yes. First of all, now for 4 marks now. Can you tell me how would I start my answer? Now you all know normal profit is where total revenue, total cost is equal. Abnormal profit is where total revenue is greater than the total cost. How would you start your answer? You can start your answer by talking about what is profit, right? You don't have to give a, you don't have to talk about long run, short run, right? You can talk about, right? Part of it, how do you calculate profit? So you can say, right? In economics, profit is the difference, right? Is the difference between total revenue and total cost. Okay, so if you want, you can give an equation. So you can say profit equals TR minus TC. And you can say total cost. Total cost includes both direct and indirect cost. So you have direct and indirect both. Then you can say, now you have given a small intro into your answer. Now your examiner knows, okay, this fellow knows what is profit. So now you talk about 1 paragraph about what is normal profit, 1 paragraph about what is abnormal profit. In your paragraph, you can't write pages and pages, guys. Maximum 3-4 lines, that's what you can write. So what can you write for normal profit? You can say normal profit, right? Normal profit is a situation where the total revenue, right, is a situation where total revenue equals total cost. you can say, in other words, the firm is able to cover both its direct and indirect costs. If you want, you can give a small additional line as well. You can say firms in perfect competition will only be earning normal profits in the long run. Just a small answer that just a small, distinguishing fact. You can give that as well. So you can say firms in perfect competition will only be earning normal profits in the long run. I'm writing shortened forms here. So listen, it's not about copying down. It's about seeing whether these are there in your answer. Then what can tell about abnormal profit? Abnormal profit is a situation where what is what? It's a situation where total revenue is greater than your total cost, right? You can also call this, you can say this is also called supernormal profits. So you can say in this situation, the revenue earned by the firm not only covers its direct cost and indirect cost, right? But results in a supernormal profit. You can say the revenue earned exceeds the total direct and indirect cost. And you can say, however, these kind of abnormal profits will only be, let's say, will only be prevalent or will only be available in the short run for a perfectly competitive firm. You can give in an answer like that, which is more than enough for 4 marks. Yes, normal profit, you can also call it as zero economic profit. Yes, normal profit, your economic profit is 0. Is that okay? Fine, guys, can you handle a question like that for 4 marks? Right, we'll move to the last. Okay, no, that's it, no? No, you don't have to drag perfect competition here, guys. If you want, you can write that. That's not a main factor. This perfect competition one, that is not a main factor. I just put that point because that also shows a difference, right? A firm in perfect competition can earn this, right? It's not a main one. Yes, economic profits means supernormal profits. No, guys. Now remember, right? When you say normal profit over here, we are not talking about the minimum profit an entrepreneur expects. That's not what we are talking over here. Now, in your unit, when you go through the unit, you will realize we learn normal profit under indirect cost. What is that? That's the minimum profit an entrepreneur expects in order to continue his production activity. Then again, we learn normal profits when we draw the diagrams. We learn supernormal profit, normal profit, supernormal losses or abnormal losses, right? We learn those. So here when they are saying distinguish between normal profit and abnormal profit, they are talking about not that minimum profit the entrepreneur expects. So you need to have the common sense to figure out, this is what they are talking at that point. The more questions you do, you are able to figure that out easily. Okay. Economic profit means supernormal profit. Okay, so this abnormal profit, guys, is supernormal profit. Okay. Okay, so one more thing, right? So normal profit, guys, normal profit is where your economic profit is 0. Okay. Abnormal profits can also be called economic profit, right? It can also be called supernormal profit. Okay, you can give in all of those names. Okay, so when the economic profit or supernormal profit is 0, we call it normal profit. I'm hoping that part is clear. Right, so are you all okay with the 2017 paper? Pretty easy and direct questions. These questions are much more easier than the unit number even 1, 2, 3 ones, because it's the same question that comes over and over and over again. Shall we move to the next? Fine. Okay.